War. It is a word that echoes through the corridors of history, leaving an indelible mark on the human story. From the dawn of civilization to the present day, war has been a constant companion, shaping our societies, our cultures, and our very existence. It is a double-edged sword, capable of both immense destruction and remarkable progress. On the one hand, war is a force of unimaginable devastation. It tears apart families, shatters economies, and leaves scars on the land and in the hearts of those who survive. The human toll of war is immeasurable, with countless lives lost and countless others forever altered by the horrors they have witnessed. Yet for all its horrors, war has also been a catalyst for innovation and change. Throughout history, conflicts have spurred technological advancements, from the development of new weapons to the invention of life-saving medical techniques. Moreover, wars have often led to social and political upheavals, challenging existing power structures and giving rise to new ideologies and movements. Understanding war, its causes, its evolution, and its consequences is essential if we are to break free from its grip and strive for a more peaceful future. This essay will explore the multifaceted nature of war, examining its historical trajectory, its impact on humanity, and the ongoing quest for peace in a world still grappling with conflict. The causes of war are complex and multifaceted, often stemming from a confluence of factors rather than a single isolated incident. Throughout history, nations and groups have been driven to conflict by a variety of motivations, including political ambition, economic competition, territorial disputes, religious differences, ideological clashes, and social injustices. Political causes of war often involve power struggles between states, with leaders resorting to military force to expand their territory, secure strategic resources, or assert their dominance on the world stage. The desire for power and influence can lead to intense rivalries between nations, creating a climate of mistrust and hostility that can easily escalate into open warfare. Economic factors also play a significant role in igniting conflict. Competition for resources such as oil, water, and minerals can lead to tensions between nations, particularly in regions where these resources are scarce. Trade disputes, economic sanctions, and unequal distribution of wealth can also create friction and resentment, contributing to a volatile international environment. Territorial disputes have been a perennial source of conflict throughout human history. Nations often lay claim to the same land based on historical claims, ethnic ties, or strategic considerations. These competing claims can lead to border skirmishes, prolonged wars, and ongoing tensions that can last for generations. Religious differences have also been a potent motivator for conflict. Throughout history, wars have been fought in the name of religion, with believers seeking to spread their faith, defend their sacred sites, or eliminate rival beliefs. Religious intolerance and extremism can exacerbate tensions between different groups, making peaceful coexistence a distant dream. Ideological clashes, such as those between communism and capitalism, or democracy and authoritarianism, can also lead to conflict. Nations with opposing political systems and values may view each other as threats, leading to a build-up of military forces, proxy wars, and ideological battles fought on the world stage. Social injustices such as discrimination, oppression, and inequality can create resentment and unrest within a society, sometimes escalating into violent conflict. When governments fail to address the grievances of their people, it can lead to uprisings, revolutions, and civil wars. Understanding the root causes of conflict is crucial for developing effective strategies for conflict prevention and resolution. By addressing the underlying political, economic, social, and ideological factors that contribute to war, we can hope to create a more peaceful and just world. The earliest forms of warfare were primal, driven by basic survival instincts and the need to secure resources. In ancient times, battles were often fought hand-to-hand with rudimentary weapons like clubs, spears, and bows and arrows. These early conflicts were limited in scope and intensity, often involving small bands of warriors clashing over hunting grounds, water sources, or territorial control. As civilizations emerged and societies became more organized, warfare evolved alongside them. Armies grew larger and more sophisticated, with soldiers trained in specific combat techniques and equipped with increasingly deadly weapons. The development of bronze and iron weaponry gave rise to new forms of combat, with swords, shields, and armor becoming standard equipment for warriors. The invention of the chariot revolutionized warfare in the ancient world. These horse-drawn vehicles provided warriors with speed, maneuverability, and a formidable platform for archers and javelin throwers. Chariots became a symbol of military might, used to devastating effect by empires like the Egyptians, Hittites, and Assyrians. Siege warfare also emerged in ancient times as cities grew larger and more fortified. Attackers developed ingenious methods for breaching enemy defenses, employing battering rams, siege towers, and catapults to hurl projectiles and break through city walls. Defenders, in turn, constructed elaborate fortifications, including moats, walls, and towers, to withstand these assaults. Ancient warfare was often brutal and unforgiving. Battles could last for hours or even days, with heavy casualties on both sides. Victory often went to the side with superior numbers, better tactics, or more advanced technology. The spoils of war could be substantial, including land, resources, slaves, and political power. The invention of gunpowder and the subsequent development of firearms in the late Middle Ages revolutionized warfare, ushering in a new era of military technology and tactics. Cannons, muskets, and other firearms gradually replaced traditional weapons like swords and bows and arrows, fundamentally altering the nature of combat. Cannons, in particular, had a profound impact on warfare. These powerful artillery pieces could blast through stone walls, rendering medieval castles and fortifications vulnerable for the first time. The use of cannons on the battlefield shifted the balance of power from heavily armored knights to infantry armed with firearms. The introduction of muskets and other handheld firearms further democratized warfare. Unlike swords and bows and arrows, which required years of training to master, firearms could be used effectively with relatively little training. This allowed for the creation of large armies of conscripted soldiers, fundamentally changing the social composition of military forces. Gunpowder warfare also led to new battlefield tactics. Linear formations in which soldiers lined up shoulder to shoulder and fired volleys of musket fire became common. These tactics maximized firepower but also made armies more vulnerable to artillery bombardment. The increasing lethality of firearms led to a rise in battlefield casualties. Battles became more destructive and impersonal, with soldiers often mowed down by unseen enemies firing from a distance. The psychological impact of gunpowder warfare was also significant, as the deafening roar of cannons and the constant threat of sudden death took a heavy toll on soldiers. Section 5. Industrialized Warfare, Total War, and its Aftermath. The Industrial Revolution of the 18th and 19th centuries brought about unprecedented technological advancements that profoundly transformed the nature of warfare. Mass production, improved transportation networks, and new technologies like the telegraph, the railroad, and the machine gun led to an era of industrialized warfare characterized by unprecedented scale, intensity, and brutality. The American Civil War, which took place from 1861 to 1865, is often considered the first modern war, showcasing the devastating potential of industrialized warfare. Railroads transported vast armies and supplies across vast distances, while telegraphs enabled rapid communication between commanders in the field and political leaders. The use of repeating rifles, ironclad warships, and other technological innovations resulted in staggering casualties and widespread destruction. World War I, from 1914 to 1918, marked the horrific culmination of industrialized warfare. Millions of soldiers clashed in a brutal war of attrition, fought in trenches that stretched for hundreds of miles across Europe. Machine guns, artillery, poison gas, and other deadly weapons turned the battlefield into a mechanized slaughterhouse, resulting in an unprecedented loss of life. The horrors of World War I left an indelible mark on the world, shattering the illusion of progress and ushering in an era of disillusionment and uncertainty. The war's devastating consequences, both human and economic, led many to question the very foundations of civilization. Section 6. The Atomic Age, a New Era of Warfare. The development of nuclear weapons during World War II ushered in a terrifying new era of warfare. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945 demonstrated the unimaginable destructive power of these weapons, killing hundreds of thousands of people and leaving a legacy of radiation sickness and environmental devastation. The advent of nuclear weapons fundamentally changed the nature of warfare and international relations. The concept of mutually assured destruction, or MAD, in which any nuclear attack would be met with a retaliatory strike of equal or greater force, became a chilling deterrent to all-out nuclear war. The Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union from 1947 to 1991 was dominated by the threat of nuclear annihilation. Both superpowers engaged in a dangerous arms race, amassing vast arsenals of nuclear weapons capable of destroying the world many times over. The fear of nuclear war permeated every aspect of life during this period, casting a long shadow over international relations. The nuclear age also saw the emergence of new forms of warfare, such as proxy wars, in which superpowers supported opposing sides in conflicts in developing countries. These proxy wars, such as the Korean War from 1950 to 1953 and the Vietnam War from 1954 to 1975, allowed the superpowers to engage in indirect conflict without risking direct confrontation. Section 7. Modern conflicts, proxy wars, and asymmetric warfare. While the threat of large-scale interstate wars has diminished in the post-Cold War era, the world continues to grapple with new and evolving forms of conflict. Proxy wars, in which major powers back opposing sides in regional conflicts, have become increasingly common, often fueled by geopolitical rivalries, ideological battles, and competition for resources. Asymmetric warfare, where weaker actors use unconventional tactics to level the playing field against more powerful adversaries, has also become a defining feature of modern conflict. Terrorist organizations, insurgent groups, and even state-sponsored actors have employed asymmetric tactics such as suicide bombings, cyber attacks, and information warfare to achieve their objectives. The rise of globalization, technological advancements, and the increasing interconnectedness of the world have blurred the lines between traditional battlefields and civilian spaces. Modern conflicts often spill over into the civilian realm, resulting in widespread displacement, humanitarian crises, and violations of human rights. The changing nature of warfare presents new challenges for international security and conflict resolution. Traditional approaches to peacekeeping and diplomacy are often ill-equipped to address the complex dynamics of modern conflicts, which require innovative solutions and a willingness to address the root causes of violence and instability. Section 8. The price of war. Human, economic, and environmental devastation. The consequences of war are far-reaching and devastating, extending far beyond the immediate battlefield and leaving lasting scars on individuals, societies, and the planet as a whole. War's most tragic cost is the loss of human life. Millions upon millions of soldiers and civilians have perished in conflicts throughout history. Families are torn apart, communities shattered, and futures extinguished. The psychological trauma inflicted on survivors can linger for generations. The economic costs of war are staggering. Resources are diverted from essential services like healthcare and education to fund military spending. Infrastructure is destroyed, industries disrupted, and economies destabilized. The long-term economic impacts can cripple nations for decades. War also wreaks havoc on the environment. Toxic chemicals from weapons pollute land and water sources, rendering them unusable. Forests are razed, habitats destroyed, and ecosystems disrupted. The long-term environmental consequences can be irreversible. Beyond these tangible costs, war erodes social cohesion, undermines trust, and fuels cycles of violence and hatred that can last for generations. It exacerbates existing inequalities, deepens divisions within and between societies, and creates a climate of fear and suspicion. Understanding the full spectrum of war's consequences is essential if we are to break free from its grip and build a more peaceful and sustainable future. The pursuit of peace is not merely the absence of war, but the creation of a world where violence is not seen as an acceptable solution to conflict. Section 9. The quest for peace, diplomacy, development, and a hope for the future. Despite the enduring presence of war throughout human history, the quest for peace has been a constant thread woven into the fabric of civilization. From ancient philosophers to modern-day peace activists, individuals and organizations have dedicated themselves to finding ways to prevent conflict, resolve disputes peacefully, and build a more just and harmonious world. Diplomacy, the art of conducting negotiations between nations, has played a crucial role in preventing and ending conflicts. By fostering dialogue, building trust and seeking common ground, diplomats work tirelessly to find peaceful solutions to even the most intractable disputes. International organizations like the United Nations provide a forum for diplomacy, promoting cooperation and seeking to address the root causes of conflict. Economic development is another crucial pillar in the quest for peace. Poverty, inequality, and lack of opportunity can create breeding grounds for conflict. By promoting economic growth, reducing poverty, and expanding access to education, healthcare, and other essential services, we can create more stable and prosperous societies that are less susceptible to violence. Cultural exchange and understanding are also essential for fostering peace. By promoting dialogue between different cultures, religions, and ethnicities, we can break down stereotypes, build bridges of understanding, and create a more tolerant and inclusive world. Education plays a vital role in shaping the next generation of peace builders. By teaching children about conflict resolution, nonviolent communication, and the importance of empathy and respect for others, we can plant the seeds for a more peaceful future. The pursuit of peace is a continuous journey, not a destination. While the world may never be entirely free from conflict, by embracing diplomacy, promoting economic development, fostering cultural understanding, and educating future generations about peace, we can create a world where violence is not the answer, and where hope for a brighter future shines through even the darkest of times.